Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Shanna. Now, if you watched my live the other night on Monday night crafting with friends, I had stitched the Stitched Tree die set from Spellbinders Club of February, Club of the Month. This is the Stitched Die of the Month. And when Dari and I were live, I created one card and then had a little extra time while Dari was finishing up her card, and I did some stitching. I had already cut the die cut pieces out, and I stitched the floss on these floral elements. And I didn't have a chance to finish it, and I thought I'm going to finish it up, and I might as well record it and just bring it to my channel. So I've just got a white piece of cardstock here, and I've got a little bit of remnant on my blue Spellbinders blending brush, and I'm just laying some ink down here on this panel. Now, this purple frame that I've got here was a mistake that I made when I was working with the Regal Reflections Arch die set. The very first time I cut it out, I laid the plate down without the outer die around it, and it pressed some detail into this cardstock, but it did not die cut it out. Well, I saved it thinking I could use it. Now I'm just getting the ink off my hands. I had gotten the ink all over my fingernails. And so I saved this panel here. This is from the Regal Reflections Arch die set. I'll try to remember to link everything in there. And I had made a boo-boo with it, but I knew that I could reuse it because it's got the pierced detail all the way around that frame there. And yet we still got an A2 size panel. Now what I thought I'd do is position this tree inside that frame and then bring in our leaves and our elements and just create a little scene, almost like you were looking through the window out into the yard at this beautiful flowering tree. And so that's what we're going to do. Now I've got room to lower it again. I didn't bring the blue all the way down, so I've got to cover up a little bit of the white, but I need to get it low enough to where my frame doesn't show the bottom edge of the grass where there is white. So I'm just going to just kind of eyeball it and get it laid back down there. We're just going to glue it flat, and we're going to add our grass, and then we're going to add all of our elements to it. And it's going to be a super fast card. I'm leaving this absolutely real time, so it might look like I'm moving at a snail's pace because I normally do speed my videos up to 1.5 times. So you'll see that I move a lot quicker on my normal videos, but this one was so quick and came together so easily that I thought we'll just leave it real time, and we've got about 13.5 minutes. So we've got our grassy area down there, we've got our tree, we're just going to glue it down. I'm just bringing that frame in every once in a while to test and make sure that I'm laying things down where they need to go, and just giving it a gentle press. And there we go. We have got a beautiful window to our flowering tree in the backyard. That's my little story that I'm creating to go along with it. So I have got several. I've got the larger ones, which is this, and then the smaller ones. And I've just taken some, I've got a darker purple cardstock and a lighter purple cardstock. They're both Spellbinders. And I've brought in kind of a burgundy floss. Now I have taken my Spellbinders cardstock, peridot, and fern, and one other color that might not be Spellbinders, to add 3 different colors of leaves on this tree, just to add some kind of variation of color. And I'm going to just kind of mix and match them and lay them down on here. Now this set die cuts out 3 leaves at a time, 2 leaves at a time, and then singles. And I just kind of mixed it up between the various colors, and we're just going to kind of spread them around on this tree and just have a good mixture of colors. So there you can see those are both, we've got 2 leaf die cut pieces. Actually, I've got, this is the 3rd one, and then I've got the 3-piece one, and then I've got a bunch of singles. Now I thought about moving that, but it was glued down pretty well, and I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and lay it here, and then we can put some other colors around it to kind of break up the fact that those 2 colors match. And my glue press has got like a just a gummy tip on it. And so I wanted to bring in my paper towel and clean it off. And we're just going to mix and match these leaves and just kind of separate the colors from each other. And just get them positioned on here. And you can just position them however you want. It's kind of an interesting looking tree because the leaves are, the scale is kind of, different for it. But it all comes together very nicely. And I don't believe I've ever seen a tree like this. So I don't know if it's designed to be similar to some type of tree, but it doesn't look like a tree that I recognize. I suppose if you used a white flower on there, it could almost be like a flowering pear tree. I can't really remember. I used to have one. I can't really remember what the leaves looked like on it, but I was just thinking if they were white flowers, it could kind of be like a flowering pear tree, but anyway, I don't think it matters. So this one I didn't have the backer piece on, so I had to grab another purple piece, the dark purple, and just layer it up and glue it down. And again, I'm still testing to make sure that everything's going to show the way I want it to. And we're just going to get our stitched florals laid down on here. Now, if you're not a stitcher, you don't like to stitch, you can still work with these sets because you can certainly use a marker or an ink pen or a jelly roll and create stitch detail without having to stitch. I actually enjoy stitching when I have time. It's very relaxing. I'm going to get this laid down on here. Now, if you watched my live, you saw me kind of working with this and even kind of positioning it, but I ran out of time. I was going to use the press and seal method and quickly put it together before we ran out of time, but I had my press and seal upside down, and so I kind of messed up my element, and I thought, well, we're out of time, so I thought I'll just put it together later. And so I had my husband had made dinner that night, and I wanted to hurry so that I could eat. Actually, I'm doing it the same night. We have had the dinner, and and it was wonderful. We had spaghetti and garlic bread, and it was yummy, just what I needed. And then he had plans with his friend, and so I thought, well, I'll just finish this card up. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, I'll just turn the video on, and we'll go ahead and record it, and then I can just add it later this week. And so if you watched the live, you did see me mess with it. If you didn't, you can just check this out. I will try to remember to link the live up in it because we did have fun with the live. I used the church die set that was part of the club for this month and made a real pretty church. I decided to make a shaker panel and tried a couple of different things on my live and actually settled on a snowy shaker scene, which is very reflective of what we've got going on here in Indiana today. So I'm going to bring in some foam and we're just going to pop this frame up around there, and it's just going to look like we're looking out the window at our flowering tree. So I'll just lay the foam tape on both sides, and then we'll do the tops, and we'll be ready to get it laid down. And like I said, this come together really quickly because I die cut my pieces out before the live, and then I did some of the stitching before the live because I knew that, stitching takes a little bit of time. Now, these aren't bad at all because there's not a lot of, they're pretty small elements, but it came together pretty quickly. And then since I had all the stitching done, all I had to do was assemble the card. And I thought the ink blending background panel would be nice. It would be like the blue sky behind there. Wouldn't take much effort, and I think it turned out pretty good. So I like to bring in my bone folder when I lay some sticky foam down and just give it a good press. And it just helps the backer sheet to release when you give it a press like that, and then you can release it a little bit easier. That one I had overlapping, so I needed to trim it down a little bit so I wouldn't have a big bump there on my card. And this foam tape here is just from Hobby Lobby. I pick it up there. A lot of times I will get my foam tape from the dollar store because they usually have a little 3-pack that I use. But I've been to Hobby Lobby a couple times recently, and I just picked some up. So we'll get it lined up carefully and give it a good press. And I think it looks really pretty. I think the panel kind of helps match the floss that I use to stitch the flowers with. Now I'm going to bring in a little piece of foam tape and just kind of pop this up and let it kind of just barely hang over the edge of the frame. And I took the backer sheet off so I could just bend it how I wanted to bend it so that I could use it on my sentiment. And we're just going to have it hang over a little bit. And I think it looks really pretty. Now I was thinking, no, we need to bring in some embellishment now. And so I'm going to clean up my mess, and I'm going to grab some Spellbinders gems and add it to there. So I haven't laid it on my card base yet, so I had to grab my card base. I had a little bit of white peeking out on the one side, so I was trimming that off there at the side. And I'm going to get some glue down on here and get it laid down on a side folding card base. And then we'll bring our embellishments in. I got ahead of myself. And I think it's pretty. I like the colors. I think the purple with the green makes a good contrast. Just giving it a good press. And we've got that, you know, kind of pressed detail in that purple panel. You can't really see it very well on the camera here, but it is definitely there. So I'm grabbing my Spellbinders gems, and I'm just going to grab kind of the second from the smallest, and just this is going to be the centers of my flowers, and it's also going to add a little bit of sparkle and shine to it. Just using my pick tool. And I had one of the teeny tiny ones. I'm going to grab it here and lay it on one of the smaller flowers, and then we'll just use kind of the medium ones for the rest of them. And I'm just laying them down there and giving them each a good press. And they seem to be sticking fairly well to that floss. And you can see that it's adding some nice shine to it. I think it turned out pretty. And we'll chase this last one around the little sheet. Eventually I'll be able to get a hold of it so that I can get it laid down on there. I'm just chasing it all around that acetate and just give it a good press. And that'll pretty much finish off our card. I think it turned out really pretty. I like the sparkle to it as well. So I've taken a picture. If you like it, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.